I didn't realize I was missing for 6 hours until my dog refused to come near me. She's a 3-year-old golden retriever named Biscuit. She sleeps on my feet every single night. She has separation anxiety so bad that my vet once suggested medication. That dog has followed me into the bathroom every morning for 2 years straight. And when I walked through my front door that Tuesday in October, she backed into the corner of the kitchen, bared her teeth, and growled at me. I want you to understand something before I tell you the rest of this. I am not the kind of person who believes in things she can't explain. I am a data analyst. I work for a logistics company in Raleigh, North Carolina. I make spreadsheets for a living. I listen to true crime podcasts on my commute. I meal prep on Sundays. I text my mom every other day. I am, by every measurable standard, a completely ordinary 29-year-old woman. And I am telling you that something happened to me last October that I have no rational explanation for. None. My name is Cara Hendricks. And before October 14th, my life was, honestly, kind of boring in a comforting way. I'd just gotten out of a 2-year relationship with a guy named Derek. Amicable split, no drama, and I was living alone for the first time in my adult life in a rental house on the outskirts of Garner, which is a small suburb just south of Raleigh. It's quiet out there. Older neighborhood, big yards, lots of trees, the kind of street where people still put out American flags on the 4th of July and leave pumpkins on their porches until December. My nearest neighbor, Mrs. Okafor, was a retired nurse in her 60s who brought me banana bread when I moved in and waved at me every single morning from her driveway. I loved it. I genuinely loved that little house. I had a routine. Up at 6:15, coffee, walk Biscuit down to the dead-end road and back, shower, work from home most days, dinner around 7, TV or a book, bed by 10:30. I know that sounds mind-numbingly dull. But after the chaos of my relationship ending and moving twice in 1 year, that routine felt like safety, like something I had built for myself. The first night anything felt off was October 3rd, almost 2 weeks before everything happened. I woke up at 3:47 in the morning to Biscuit whining. Not barking, whining, this low, constant sound I had never heard from her before. She was sitting at the foot of the bed, facing the window, perfectly still, except for the sound coming out of her. I looked at the window. Curtains were closed. I didn't hear anything outside. I told her to come to me, patted the bed. She didn't move, just kept whining at that window. I chalked it up to a raccoon or a deer in the yard. We get both out there. I pulled the pillow over my head and eventually fell back asleep. The next morning, I found the back gate open. I'm meticulous about that gate because of Biscuit. I check it every single night before I go to bed. I checked it that night. I know I did. But it was wide open, unlatched, swung all the way back like someone had pushed it hard. I told myself the wind, moved on. But then came the smell. It started a few days later. Only at night, only in my bedroom, and only for a few minutes at a time. The best way I can describe it is, you know the smell right before a thunderstorm? That electric, metallic smell? Like that, but wrong. Too strong. Almost chemical. I checked my HVAC. I Googled carbon monoxide symptoms. I bought an air quality monitor. Everything came back normal. Then I started losing time. Small amounts at first. I'd sit down to watch something at 8 o'clock, and suddenly it was past midnight, and I had no memory of the hours in between. I'd be in the middle of making dinner and realize I was standing at the counter with a knife in my hand, and 20 minutes had passed while I was apparently just standing there. I made a doctor's appointment. I thought maybe stress, or a thyroid thing, or early onset something I didn't want to name. The appointment was scheduled for October 19th. I never made it to October 19th without everything changing first. October 14th was a Wednesday. I remember everything about the day before. I had a 2 p.m. Zoom call that ran long. I made pasta for dinner. I watched the first episode of a new show I'd been meaning to start. I let Biscuit out at 9:45, checked the gate, locked the back door, brushed my teeth, got into bed. That's the last thing I remember. I woke up standing in my backyard, barefoot, in my pajamas, standing in the center of the grass, facing the tree line at the back of my property. It was, and I checked my phone the second I was coherent enough to do it. 4:52 in the morning. My phone showed no calls, no texts, no notifications, just the time, 7 hours and approximately 0 seconds of which I could account for. I wasn't cold. That was the first thing that was wrong. It was mid-October in North Carolina, and I was barefoot on wet grass in thin pajamas at 5 in the morning, and I was not cold. I wasn't shaking. I felt, and this is the part that disturbs me most when I think about it now, I felt calm, like I'd just woken up from the deepest, most restful sleep of my life. I should have been panicking. I was standing outside at 5 in the morning, with no memory of getting there, and I felt fine. I went inside. I checked every door and window, all locked from the inside. The back door I'd locked behind me had been relocked. My keys were on the hook by the door where I always leave them. I sat down on the kitchen floor, and I tried to remember. I tried so hard. And I got fragments. A light. Not a warm light, not like a lamp or a flashlight. A cold light, almost blue-white, coming from above. And pressure. This unbearable pressure on my chest, like something heavy was sitting on me, but I couldn't move my arms to push it off. Not paralysis exactly. More like I had forgotten how to tell my body to move. And a sound. I have tried to describe this sound to 3 different people, and none of them have had the right reaction, which tells me words aren't enough. But the closest I can get is, imagine a tuning fork. That perfect, clean hum. Now imagine it's not coming from outside you. Imagine it's coming from inside your skull, behind your eyes. And it's not painful. It's almost pleasant. Like it was designed to keep you still. I remember looking up at the light and thinking with complete clarity, I should be afraid right now. And not being afraid at all. That calm is what scares me more than anything else. When I finally got off the kitchen floor that morning, I went to the bathroom to splash water on my face, and I saw them. 3 marks on the inside of my left forearm. Small, perfectly circular, arranged in a triangle. Each one maybe the size of a pencil eraser, slightly raised, like a burn that was already halfway healed. Not bruises, not bug bites. The skin around them was completely normal. No redness, no swelling, just these 3 identical marks in a precise geometric arrangement on my arm. I had not had those marks the night before. I know because I moisturize every night before bed, and I would have noticed. I took photos. I still have them. I called in sick to work. I sat on my couch for most of that day, with Biscuit's leash in my hand, because she wouldn't come close enough to actually need it. That's when I finally understood that whatever had happened to me, she knew. She knew, and she was scared of what I had brought back into her home. That's when I realized something was very, very wrong. I spent a week convincing myself it was a medical episode, sleepwalking with some kind of dissociative component. I was ready to accept that explanation. I needed that explanation. Then Mrs. Okafor knocked on my door. She brought more banana bread, which she does when something's wrong. I'd learned that about her by then. She set it on the counter and looked at me for a long moment and said, "It happened again, didn't it?" Not a question. Again. I couldn't speak. I just held out my arm and showed her the 3 marks. She looked at them for a long time. Then she sat down at my kitchen table, folded her hands, and told me that the woman who lived in my house before me, a woman named Teresa, who had rented it for 4 years before moving abruptly in the spring, had come to her door one morning in almost the exact same condition I was in, confused, calm when she should have been panicking, showing Mrs. Okafor marks on her arm. Teresa had moved to be closer to family in Ohio, or that's what she told the landlord. Mrs. Okafor said Teresa hadn't seemed like someone who wanted to move. She seemed like someone who felt like she had to. I asked Mrs. Okafor why she hadn't told me any of this when I moved in. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because I didn't want to scare you, and because I thought maybe it was finished." I asked her what it was. She just shook her head. The kind of headshake that doesn't mean I don't know. The kind that means I don't want to say it out loud. She left the banana bread, and she went home. I researched Teresa. I'm a data analyst. I know how to find information. It took me most of an afternoon. Teresa Vance, 31 years old when she left. She'd had a blog, one of those lifestyle blogs, low traffic, mostly recipes and home decor stuff. The last post before she went quiet was from 4 years ago. The comments were mostly normal, except for one. A comment from a username I couldn't trace that just said, "The triangle means they marked you for return." The account had no other activity. It had been created the same day the comment was posted. I moved out 2 weeks later. I'm in an apartment in Cary now. 3rd floor. I checked, and the previous tenant, a grad student named Michael, moved out after 8 months despite signing a year lease. I haven't found him. I've been sleeping okay, mostly. Biscuit is back to normal with me. She took about 3 weeks to fully warm up again, but she sleeps on my feet now, just like always. But here's the thing I can't stop thinking about. The marks faded after about a month. All 3 of them, slowly disappearing until by mid-November there was nothing left. And 2 weeks ago, November 28th, I woke up at 4:47 in the morning, completely wide awake, completely calm, with that tuning fork sound fading out of the center of my skull, like an echo of something that had just stopped. I turned on every light in the apartment. I sat on the couch with Biscuit, and I waited for morning. And when I finally got up and went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror, on the inside of my left forearm, 3 marks, triangle, already halfway healed. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if writing this out will do anything except make more people think I've lost my mind. Maybe I have. I have a therapist now, and she uses words like dissociative episodes and stress response, and I let her because I need to have those conversations. And I emailed them to myself with a timestamp, because I need there to be a record somewhere. If you've experienced anything like this, the missing time, the smell before a storm, the marks, please reach out in the comments. I found 2 other people so far, both women, both lived alone, both in suburban neighborhoods in the Southeast. I don't think I'm special. I think that's the worst part. I think I'm one of many. I've started keeping my blinds closed at night. 3rd floor doesn't feel as safe as it used to. And sometimes, when I'm sitting on my couch after midnight and the apartment gets very quiet, Biscuit will lift her head from my lap, ears forward, and stare at the ceiling above us. Just stare. And I'm pretty sure it knows I'm talking about this.